Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jason doing an update. On this video, we're going to hit on there's just been a lot of movement, obviously, tonight or last night and this morning. So I just want to touch on where we see the edges, how we're playing it, what positions, what I think in the next week. And then I'll just hit on just a few trades we did this morning. But also, I got to talk to you guys about the sale I decided to do on the new option service. I just talked about it briefly yesterday. And then I wanted to do a discount kind of end of year, beginning of year, to get some of you started in any of the courses. I just decided to do 80% off everything. All the courses you pick. So there's so many of you that want to, I can't keep it straight who's interested in what. So just email me. You put your email in here. Let me know that you're interested in either of the courses. I know some of you are new to options. You wanted to learn options. But I think the service is going to do you a better service. So when we're talking about what trades to take, what contracts, you can ask questions, you can follow along. It's real time. You can just totally be involved like the same way the prop traders are, where we're together every day. There's going to be no guessing. You're not going to have to try to figure it out on your own. So that's why I created the option service. It's basically the ways that I trade. So if you want to take longer term positions, the best way to express that is through call ratio spreads or some form of ratio spread. And then against those positions, you're writing calls, you're writing puts, the hedge. That's extremely important around earnings when you're taking individual stocks. It's extremely important around big global macro numbers. Just gives you so many different ways to protect yourself, but then just to take advantage of the extra moves. I mean, I can show you for an example of what I did yesterday on the NASDAQ, this huge move we had into the China news. And then I was caught a little bit short. I mean, we were making money on S&Ps long that I added into, so made a bunch of money there. But then I bought upside calls that were cheap, that if I got squeezed a little bit on the short side, I realized those calls. I could stay with the futures. The market ends up selling off on the Middle East news and then absolutely crushed it on the futures. So you can't stick with a trade like that into an overnight session and walk away from the computers unless you have that optionality using the calls. It's just the same as you do with protected puts. You could do the same thing on the upside when you're short. The little things like that, I can only teach so much in a course, but in the option service, you can interact with me and we can say, hey, if you guys are, Jason, I'm stuck in this trade. It's kind of going against me. What could I do to offset some of the risk? How could I hedge myself? Or, how can I put on some protective strategies so that overnight when I'm sleeping, I'm not paying attention, that I'm protected, or I can even benefit and stay in my position. So that's what the option service is about. You guys go to jenkinscm.com. I'll put the promo stuff here on the site so it's easy to access. I'll put the link in this video. You can message me, obviously, in the Symphony chat or the trading chat room. Just get in contact with me. It's going to be good for today, tomorrow, through Sunday. So, and then after that, it's just you guys are either serious about being on either the options team. I did put a discount on the prop program. Prop program is our most expensive program, so I didn't do 80% off. That would only be $1,000, which is not fair to anybody, my time and all the other people that are in the program. But 20% off is I took $1,000 off, so huge savings there. Some of you talked to me about you wanted to get going on the prop program at the beginning of the year. That's an opportunity for me to just help you get started. And then again, the same thing, 80% off the courses and the option service. You guys have questions about what is the option service? I kind of went through it. I kind of want to just get into the charts. But I'll put the link so you can kind of go through. I hit the points of like what you get as a member, real-time alerts, the portfolio, the watch list, the ongoing education, all our courses. It's the best program I put together, and it's cheaper than the prop program. Prop program is really for guys that want to day trade, or they have the time to do it full time. They want to be a trader. If you don't have that type of time commitment and you want to still take longer term positions and swing trade, the options is the best service that you can trade the model and do that the way we do it. Okay, that said, today, well, let me just hit one last thing on the Nasdaq because that was my point I was just making about the options. Um, Man, we covered some shorts. Um, this was such a monster move. We covered shorts yesterday into the low and then re-shorted, and I right into this tail I covered again, but totally missed the long late in the afternoon. That was just a massive move. But so I ended up coming in and shorting a little bit here when I was going long S&Ps. All right, so let me go back to 15 charts. So this is kind of the last 24 hours the trading that we were doing. So came in, we were short the Russell on the move down, then went a little bit long S&Ps on both of these dips, and then I added. I'm playing. We can see the direction of the 8 we like to follow on the 15-minute. So I added. Stayed long overnight, but then I fed into some of the short on the Nasdaq, and then that's where I bought my upside calls at 8,900, and I realized those gains for like 8 or 9 grand. Stayed a bit short, and I felt more comfortable because I also had a little bit of a long here. So if we continue to push higher, I was going to continue to add to this, and then eventually take some profit, and then stay with the short. And the idea is that eventually get an ebb and flow back the other way on the Nasdaq. Well, we didn't continue higher, pretty much right on the open into Asia. Nikkei started to get hit, which we've been short there also. That's been one of our favorite shorts, along with long the yen. Before we haven't even gotten bearish on the equity market, U.S. equity market. The only place we've really been carrying core shorts is the Russell. So actually still in core long S&Ps longer term. Um, Nasdaq is actually a long basic downward model too. But intraday is a little bit different. So ended up coming in short to start the Asia session, and then got a chance to cover. I left some on for today, so that's why I had such big days. This is one of the biggest starts of the year we've had as a team, a company, myself. Um, 2 days in, I mean, this is just great volatility. So that was a good trade. The Nasdaq set up well, and then today we just reversed. So this back and forth, there's a lot of opportunities here. What we did today, um, some of my team was a little bit more aggressive playing the Nasdaq. I just kind of stuck with S&Ps and then shorting the Russell. So here's RTY. And played we said let's be long S&Ps. I played S&Ps long here on this move up. I don't have S&Ps up. So at the same time that the Russell was rallying, I was long S&Ps, and then I started to fade. We faded the Russell here, and then again up here, and then I covered. A good amount. And the reason we're selling up here is because you can see you're back towards pi, which is a cyclical concept we use, and then the 30-minute and hourly was just perfect. So that's kind of the bulk of what I did day trade. There wasn't a whole lot. We did take a long on oil after. I took a long on oil, didn't go anywhere, stepped out of the way for inventories, and then we said, all right, if we get a pullback, you got back towards pi again. Pretty simple concept. So on the 5-minute. All right, 5 minute. There you go. So this was the oil market held pi exactly. Again, that the reason that happens is a cyclical concept. There was also the previous high from back here. That I even said 62.30 could probably hold in because that's prior resistance, should be support, and it ended up working out well. I only bought two lots. Yeah, no, about one lot on WTI, and then I think I had a lot on Brent. Brent, I'm kind of playing more as a core position now with see if we get some follow through with this Iran stuff. But anyway, the point was that you could buy just this was just a nibble here on the low, and then we were going to buy more into the actual spot that we originally talked about down here. and you didn't get it. You got a little bit of a pop, so did that day trade, and that was kind of it for a Friday. Um, I think there's a lot going on global macro as far as the yen. This is again not to harp on like this was our call. It's working out. I'm just wanted to say that this was something that was the reason it matters is because this is the first thing I noticed global macro that was starting to turn. The yen strengthening. This is starting to move first. Same thing with gold starting to rally first. And if that continues, then you're going to, it's more likely that that's a big risk off move. US equity markets will probably follow at some point. The Nikkei obviously doesn't like a strong yen, so it was the first to break down global macro. So it's just a matter of pointing that stuff out, not about like, hey, we were right, even though we were. So this was a big trade. And then along those lines, the yen did move first. Meanwhile, bonds haven't done shit for weeks and weeks and weeks. And today and yesterday was the first time they got off their ass. So that's good to see that the long end rallied. I've been building a core position in 30s. We got paid on that today. We've been mostly hiding out on the front end, but added to tens and bonds yesterday and a few accounts, and then we got paid on it. So I even talked about being long 30s this morning, right in here, 157.23. I think some of my guys might have stayed with that. There was another half a point. So good day overall. I just want to show some results because keeping score matters, but also you guys can do this. I mean, we've trained over 59 people, 59 or almost 60 people since we started the firm 3 years ago. I trained 4 or 5 guys professionally on the rates desk in 10 years. So I kind of started this platform this way to do it virtually. Can help anybody anywhere in the world, and whether you're a beginner or you've been trading professionally, it doesn't really matter to me. It's the same models, the same cycles, it's the same directional stuff we do every day. You can do it across any time frame, any market. You guys can do this. This is our Cycle Edge team. This is our main membership, kind of the flagship product. So it's only $50 a month now. I changed that. Just so you guys can stay with the service longer, depending on what you got going on in your life. Our prop team. So anyway, but this is, guys, this is here's our P&L on some of our calls. Gold, we've been long, couple futures contracts, got paid on that today. Euro dollar's been hanging out, like I said, in the front end of the treasury market. Nikkei, I booked some of that today. Here's the oil. That was me buying earlier, $570 on that trade I talked about we came out of. I like being short dollar yen, which is long yen. Yen futures, we've been long, same trade. Tens, crushed it. Still like a core position. This is pretty light. I want to get that a lot heavier on the next pullback. Bonds, like I said, fives we playing on the short side, which is the same thing we did at the beginning of last year. When bonds had a big rally, we were just picking our spots in 30s. And then when the long end started to finally kind of break the intermediate term, we actually went to shorting ultras and long bonds. Start getting our front end core longs and our tens. So I haven't gone back to shorting any fives. That's me carrying that a little bit of a short in from last year. Nikkei, again, covered some of that. Just showing P&L year to date. Tesla's one of the positions that are actually out of the money on, and I'm going to add to that. You get all that information, guys, in the Cycle Edge, but then in the option service, it's much more intense. Like I'll tell you, I like being short Tesla, and we're shorting, but I'm going to get into like the vol strategies and put calls ratios and the scanners on the stuff that different companies where we see high levels of option activity that a lot of times will front run like a buyout, or just you can get in these options for $1 and they might end up being 5x. You could take $500 on a couple of these plays and it could be worth $5,000 more than pays for the service. So I'm showing you this also so you guys know that here we are talked about it 2 weeks ago. If you haven't joined, you've already missed out on these games, both on the prop side and just on what we're doing on the future stuff. I mean, missing the gold miners trade 2 weeks ago was a double, and it's 300% on like right here, 300%. I was buying those 1550s 5-strike calls a month ago. So I don't want you guys to hesitate. That's why I brought in the discounts. But that said, you got to be kind of hungry, and it's not for everybody. So I hope that helps, guys. I think in the next week, it's tough to. The thing with like oil and this Iran stuff is we've been long or bullish oil because the global macro shift, not necessarily because they were chasing headlines or you thought you had a view on what some drone was going to do or not do, right? So you had inflation turn where we went from growth slowing and deflation, which was what we had in most of last year. And when the Fed pivoted, you get the dollar down, you get that reaction, and inflation started to pick up. Commodities are doing better, oil does better. So that's where we wanted to be long and increase those exposures. I don't think that's going to last much through the first part of the year. And then we'll probably be back to more of a deflationary move. And then you'll see bonds do better again. The dollar will probably rally again. But also just in a cyclical perspective and the trend perspective, we've been in this move and bullish. So being there, and then you get a catalyst plus we've talked about our views on the Iran stuff was only going to continue to escalate. That was the risk. I mean, there's plenty of people that are motivated for this to continue. It's been going on for a long time. So I don't know. It's buy the rumor, sell the news. Some of my guys chased it or got on this early yesterday. One of my gals in my team sold 64 out of her long. It was beautiful. But I want to have some long exposure, so we'll keep buying dips into next week and see if we get some quote unquote retaliation, and maybe that would be a good catalyst. We just got to stay with your good risk management rules and the edges and the cycles. I am fine with continuing to be a better seller on the Russell. I like small cap short. They're finally breaking down below the 8. I'm still going to play a core long in S&Ps. I don't want to be aggressively long in NASDAQ up here. The Dow, you could be long the Dow or S&Ps is kind of how I'm still positioned in my bias there. I haven't flipped to the short side yet. And then we like treasuries a lot. Going to be much more aggressive in bonds now. Out the curve 10s, like I said. They're already long the yen. You can buy pullbacks there. That looks good. And I actually didn't put our VIX trade on, but now that we're back down towards 15, you guys join the service, you'll know how we play that. This is one of our highest batting rated strategies on the VIX. It's awesome. Trading the index, and then you can use the futures against some of our options plays, but we really dial in on just drilling UVXY on the short side, and it's really profitable when you know how to do it. I mean, I've never had a losing year doing this strategy, so hopefully this ETF stays in the mix and on the exchanges for a long time, because you can just short it, buy puts on it. You got to know how to work the position and get the timing right. But when you do, and you sit down on some of these ratio put spreads, those have been some of our biggest winners. So that's all in the option service. But that's all I got. You guys have a great weekend. Again, in the video link, that'll get you to the landing page. You can go to Jenkins CM, Jenkins Capital Management, jenkinscm.com. I'll have the link here. And just put your email in, so that way I can organize, communicate with you, just what you're interested in. If you want a prop trade, or you're too busy but you will always wanted to learn options, you want to swing trade with us, whatever it is, I just want to help you get to the next level. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you.